Aloha, my friends. This is Billy Wiggly coming at you live from the Ninth Island, Las Vegas, Nevada. And you got to remember that every day is training day. So we're going to focus on the positives all the time and avoid the negatives. And check this out. How about something like this right here? You see all those letters, first names, and last names all in one column? Well, you know that that's not the proper way to set up data in Excel, right? Yes, I knew you knew that. We want the first names in one column and the last names in another column, kind of like this right there. So let's learn how to use the text to columns tool. Let's go. All right, so let's learn how to work with some text data that we get in Excel. This is really easy. There's a tool that'll separate our data. We can take this text that is in one column and we want to separate last names and first names. One column that has the last names and then another column right here that has the first names. So we're going to take the text that's in here and then we're just going to move it into that column. So the text is going to columns and there's a tool for that. That tool is called text to columns. That's right. Yay! Yes. All right, here we go. So the way to use this tool is we're going to go ahead and first we got to select our data range. So that's the data range that I'm going to convert the text to columns. I'm going to keep the last names in one column and then I'm going to put the first names right into another column. So you've got to select the data range. And as you know, we're always using shortcuts, tips, and tricks. So I'm not just going to press my mouse and grab my data like that. I'm just going to press Control Shift and the arrow down. Just like that. Let me show you one more time how we're going to do this. And we're going to do Control plus the Shift plus the down arrow. So, I don't know how to do a down arrow. Control Shift, and let me draw it down for you. The down arrow, like that. Control Shift, arrow down. That is going to select that range of data down to the last empty cell. Remember, Control and the arrow navigates in the direction of the arrow. Boop, boop, boop. I just went all the way around Excel. And then what I can do is Control Shift because the Shift selects. See, Shift is selecting in the arrow direction of my arrow. So I'm holding down the Shift key and moving my arrow. Pressing the arrow, and so that's doing this selection right there. Control Home takes me to A1, arrow down to A2, Control Shift, arrow down, select that range of data. Now I'm going to just go ahead and press Control F1. That opens up my ribbon. I'm in the Data tab. And now right here in the Data tab, we see that we have our data tools. And within our data tools, we have the text to columns tool. So if you were just to hover over the text to columns tool, Excel is going to give you a tooltip that tells you, hey, this text to columns tool is going to split a column of text into multiple columns. Look, it says right there. For example, you can separate a column of full names into separate first and last name columns. I think that's what we're doing here. You can choose how to split it up, fixed with, or split at each comma, period, or other character. All right, so let's go. So we've selected our range of data. We click on the text to columns. Let's zoom right into that area. And this is the Convert Text to Columns wizard, step 1. Just follow the instructions. Just read the steps. Excel tells you what to do lots of times. Here we see that the text wizard has determined that your data is delimited. That means that characters such as commas or tabs separate each field. And we see that because we see that there's commas right there separating the data. And there's also something else right here. You got it, a space. Okay, So I want you to notice what's going to happen in the preview right here as we begin to choose our options. So let's go ahead and click on next. And then now we see, well, I had pre-selected this earlier. Typically, if you haven't used text columns before, you're going to see it just like this. The delimiters are going to be set to tab right there. However, in this case, the delimiters are a comma and a space. This one and this one. So let's go right ahead and deselect tab. Now watch. Watch carefully right down here, okay? Watch what's going to happen in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select the delimiter, which is a comma. Boom, there you go. And then I'm going to go ahead and select the delimiter that is a space. Yeah, buddy. I like that. This is my new sound I picked up. Okay, so now we've separated it. Look, if we wanted to take it even further, we've got this hyphen right here. What do you think we should do to separate it right there at the hyphen? Look around and see what your options are. Could it be maybe an other? And perhaps we could put that right in there, that dash. Let's try it, see what happens. So let's just say other, and let's put a dash right in there. And yes, it did. It added another column, but that's not what we want to do anyways, but we could. So let me go right ahead and zoom out. And then we've got our option right here to click on next. And here's where we can select. We could just finish right there. Just finish and be done with it. And then here, it wants us to select the data type in this first column right here. So we're just going to say that's text right there. And here's the next column that I clicked on. And that's also text. So then I'm going to finish. Now, you got to remember something. Pay close attention to this. Listen up. If you had data in this column, the moment that you press finish, what's going to happen? Is it going to push that data over to the next column, or is it just going to overwrite it? It's going to overwrite it. It's actually going to give you a warning. Hopefully you would read it. Sometimes we don't read it, the warning. We're just in a big hurry and we just click, 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 and then undo. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Here we go. So now we're going to finish. And yes. That's another sound. Just got to get used to pressing the right button. All right, here we go. So we did it. That's the text to columns tool. But what else can the text to columns tool do? It can do a lot of things. Check out this sheet right here. And let's say you got all these numbers and you're saying to yourself, you know what? These numbers actually got to be separated. It's actually got to be, these three numbers right here. And then it's got to be these three numbers and then these two numbers. So I got to separate it to this 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, including the A column. How would you do that? There's no space, there's no commas. How would we do that? Let's go right ahead and select our data range. Control Shift arrow down to select it. We're in the data tab right now, so let's click on text to columns. Here's the text to columns tool. Now let's zoom in on it and let's see what's going on here. The text to columns has determined that your data is delimited. Actually, it's not. We're going to say this is fixed with data. And now we're going to click next. And then now, because it's fixed with, it gives us different options. This screen lets you set field widths, column breaks. In other words, where it's going to separate the data. Lines with arrows signify a column break. To create a line break, I'm reading just right here. To create a line break, click at the desired position. To delete a break line, double click on the line. To move a break line, click and drag it. Okay, so here we go. So the first one is going to be right there. And look, we can click and drag it just like it said, right? Or we can double click to remove it. So we're going to break right there. Then we're going to break right there. And then we're going to break right there. 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, including the A column. All right, so there we go. That's where we're going to separate it. And remember, we could always move them around if we wanted to, but that's what we agreed on. Now we can click on next and we can say, hey, we can leave it at general and just finish right there. Or we could just say, that's numbers or something. But we're just, in this case, we don't see the option for numbers. So we're just going to have to leave it general in this case. And then we're going to just press finish. And boom, there it is. And we did it. We separated. So that's the text to columns tool, my friends. And remember, every morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, shortcuts, tips, and tricks, or some Excel-related ability that I'm teaching you that could catapult your career into the stratosphere. So remember, my friends, most of all, keep on learning. I love you. And don't get mad. Get skills. Aloha.